Hi everyone, my name's John Hopkins and welcome to the very first episode of my Flexible and Remote Work Digest. Cue fanfare. So what is this all about? I've been researching flexible and remote work trends for almost a decade now, and I set myself a challenge at the end of 2022, call it a New Year's resolution if you like, but I set myself a challenge to release more video content on this topic, to add my thoughts and commentary to the many conversations that are taking place around the world on topics like remote working, hybrid working, the 4-day week, third places, and digital nomads, and all kinds of interesting topics like that. In the future, I aim to get some guests involved as well, but for this first episode at least, it will be just me dissecting some of the latest trends and stories that are emerging around flexible and remote working. And what a busy year 2023 has been already. There are so many big stories I could talk about, but I'm going to focus on just two in this episode, which I think are really, really important. Now, the first of these two stories is in January, as part of ongoing cost-cutting measures under new owner and CEO Elon Musk, Twitter announced that they will be closing their head offices down in Seattle and Singapore and instructing their employees to work remotely. This is really big news because up to now, Elon Musk has been very vocal in his criticism for people working remotely, even going as far as claiming that remote workers are only pretending to work, telling Tesla employees in a leaked memo that remote work is no longer acceptable and that remote workers should pretend to work somewhere else, and then banning remote work at Twitter when he took over in early November. For me, when it comes to conversations about flexible and remote work trends, and in particular the huge growth of these trends since the pandemic, the narrative is quite often skewed towards the benefits these arrangements offer the individual. A better work-life balance, being able to spend more time with your family and friends, having more time to take care of your own physical and mental health, and lots of other wonderful things like that. However, as more and more leases start to run down, the eyes of the employers are starting to light up at the financial savings available from reducing expensive office space. Why would you continue to lease an office space which fits 500 people when there are only maybe 50 to 100 people there most of the time? It simply doesn't make sense. So I predict we are going to see a lot more of this. As the burden of long-term leases continues to disappear, organizations are going to look at what kind of office spaces they need now in 2023 and not what was right for them in 2019. That's going to lead to a lot more downsizing for sure, and more firms moving to completely remote ways of working with no traditional physical office. Now that brings us to the second big topic I'd like to talk about in this episode, which is the 4-day week. There was a huge 4-day week trial in the UK last year, involving 61 companies and almost 300 employees over a 6-month period. And the results of that trial have just been released. The study was conducted by a team from the University of Cambridge in the UK, Boston College in the US, and the 4-day week global community, which originated in New Zealand, and measures a broad range of metrics, including productivity, performance, engagement, well-being, gender diversity, sustainability, and innovation. Their results found that 56 of the 61 companies that took part, that's 92%, have decided to stick with the 4-day week arrangement beyond the end of the trial, with 30% having already made the 4-day week permanent in their work policy. The study found that 71% of employees reported lower levels of burnout, with 39% saying they were less stressed at the end of the trial compared with the start of the trial. There was a 65% reduction in sick days and a 57% reduction in staff leaving compared with the same 6-month period a year earlier. fears that moving to a 4-day week would hit an organization's productivity or revenue were also proved unfounded, with an average 1.4% increase in revenues being reported, along with healthy growth during this period of working a shorter week. 60% of the participants said a 4-day week made it easier for them to combine their work with parental or other caring responsibilities, while 62% said it was easier to maintain a healthy balance between their work and social lives. The study noted that most participants reported being able to spend more time on the activities they enjoyed, which ranged from playing music to spending time with family and friends, playing sport, exercise, cooking, walking the dog, watching television, and volunteering at an animal shelter. For me, this research is essentially testing the characteristics of a 4-day week against the traditional 5-day week, which most of us have followed for over a century, and using that as the benchmark. The working week is designed to provide a healthy balance between productivity and time off, giving workers time to rest and recharge while also providing employers with enough time to get the work done. For that reason, a 5-day week has always been shown to be more efficient than a 6 or 7-day week, which gives workers less time to rest and recharge and can then quickly lead to burnout and reduced productivity. What this new research has shown, studying employees who are working 4 days instead of 5, is that the outcomes have actually improved again, and that this arrangement may be even better for the type of workers that we have today. Time and hours have never been an accurate way of measuring productivity or performance. The real focus should always be on outcomes. And I always use this example with my students, and if you were to run a marathon in 3 hours and then I ran the marathon in 6 hours, should I be paid twice as much as you? Of course not. So time isn't always the best way of measuring work and performance. And that brings us to the end of the very first episode, the inaugural episode, if you like, of my Flexible and Remote Work Digest. I hope you've enjoyed it. Maybe this will end up being the only episode. Perhaps only myself and a few close relatives will actually end up watching it. Who knows? And I guess that's really up to you. But if you've liked what you've seen so far and you're keen to hear more commentary from me, summarizing the latest developments in the world of flexible and remote working, then please remember to like and subscribe below. Also, if you have any good idea for topics which you think might make interesting discussion, or maybe you'd like to be one of my guests on a future edition of the Flexible and Remote Work Digest, please leave a comment below and I'll be sure to respond to you. In the meantime, a huge thank you to everybody who tuned in, and hopefully I'll see you next time.